Well, but it's good to see you tonight, and a lot to talk about as always on a Monday night. And tomorrow we're sitting on the eve of another uh, impeachment sham, and it is unreal that these people in D.C. are so scared of President Donald Trump that they're going after him. And I would have thought that
Yeah.
cooler heads would have prevailed, but they don't. Mark, we were talking before the show, and we'll talk about this a little bit tonight. The betrayal against the president is on a level that, let me tell you something, when the history books are written of this time in history down the road, and me and you may not even be here on the earth if the Lord tarries that long, I don't think there's going to be words to describe the Benedict Arnolds that have been littered, that are littering the pages of history tonight, that have betrayed, and they think they're betraying Trump, but they're betraying the country. And I'm talking about the Rhino Republicans. I'm talking about the religious leaders, the spiritual leaders. There was a memo out tonight. Peter Navarro, which was the president's former chief of staff, he's a good guy, but he did not pull any punches in the Epic Times, and there's other publications, the Gateway Pundit, and I want to say he went on Maria Bartiromo's show. I always murder her last name. But he basically said, Bill Barr, they slow walked nearly 30 executive orders there at the end of President Trump that would have pretty much revealed a lot of this fraud. In Barr's office, the DOJ stood in the way of it. But the incoming administration, some of these executive orders that they were trying to get pushed after Biden got, quote unquote, inaugurated, they were fast tracking those as could be. And then the 7th of January, the day after this sham of the events of D.C., it was Bill Barr that came out and slammed the president and basically called him a disgrace and blamed him for all the violence. So I don't know what to say. I'm just at a point. I'm sort of numb to all this, and I know a lot of people are too tonight. But the betrayal is deep, and we're about to see something tomorrow that I never would have thought I would see in my lifetime, is an impeachment of a president that's not even officially in office right now, at least not on the paper. Not on paper. He might be in other ways, but it's crazy world we live in, my friend. What say you?
Well, I mean, you can't impeach a president unless he's in office. So my question is he still in office?
Yeah, well, that's
why they're trying. Is that why they're trying to impeach him?
Yeah, well, that could be an excellent question, my
there's
friend.
a lot of things pointing to the fact that Biden's not in control. There's a lot of things pointing that the military's in control, and maybe Trump could be behind some of this. I don't know. We really don't know what the truth is right now, but it was designed that way. I've talked to some people today, or last couple of days. People are getting pretty, kind of bogged down with all this because it's dragging out. Look, there's a lot of people that still, I guess, that have to be woke up, so to speak, with some of this stuff to find out just how bad the left truly is. Because even the unions are finding out that they got duped and deceived by Biden, through the Keystone Pipeline. They're laying off hundreds of jobs. He's trying to open the borders, all of these different things. So people are seeing just how bad the Democrats truly are. But what I want to tell people is this, is that, look, we just need to hang in there. I know people get sick and tired of hearing that. I get it. Mark, I'm tired of hearing this garbage. I want to see some action. Well, who doesn't? You know what I mean? But this has got to play out. However God's got it playing out, whatever God's plan is, we just got to stick with it. Look, we got to be here for one another right now. We got to help lift one another up, because, look, everybody has a down day. Everybody's going to get down and out. Everybody's going to have a down day. Look, I because of what they see in the natural. We just have to believe what's happening in the spiritual right now is what we got to believe. Then God's got a plan. God's on the throne. He's in control. And again, when does the $1 million question everybody wants to know is, when do they pull the trigger? That I do not know. That's what nobody else knows. And, look, God's not going to tell us every step of the way right now. He's just not right now, because this is a time, Chris, when we're finding out who's got the courage to stand. He's finding out who's the betrayers, like you were talking about earlier, whether it's from the political side, whether it's from the spiritual side. We have a lot of betrayal going on right now, brother. A lot. Tons. Even on the spiritual side. And God is pulling it all out right now. Look, the cockroaches are coming out of the cracks right now, coming out of the woodwork. And so that's what this, almost like this thing that's drawing them out, which is what this is doing. It's drawing out the corrupt character of man right now. It's drawing out all these different things. I've said many times that we have many things conversion on one another here on many different, in many different dimensions, whether it's political, spiritual, financial, all these different things are happening right now. So we just got to let this thing play out a little longer and see what's going to happen, see what God's got in store for us.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm not going to disagree with the thing you said there. And I will tell you this, that I think that most people I've talked to, Mark, you included, our mutual friend Paul Obel, we had a good conversation today. Paul was on our show last Wednesday night. Tremendous show, a lot of encouragement. And but I've talked to other people that are in agreement that God seems to be a little quiet right now. I'm not saying he's silent, but he's not. There's something, there's an old saying, it's the darkest before the dawn, but it's also the quietest before the storm. We're both from down south, and we have tornadoes down south, and there's always the thing about a tornado. There's an eerie calm minutes before a tornado hits. I mean, it is dead calm, and then complete destruction. And I look at some of this, and even a hurricane. If you get into a hurricane, you're from Florida, and you deal with hurricanes. There's something called an eye wall, and when an eye passes over you, everything is calm. You can have 150-mile-an-hour winds, and then all of a sudden that eye go over you, and everything is calm, and then boom, from another direction, the winds pick up. I almost think that we're in the eye of this storm right now, and we're in a calm, and God's not speaking for a reason. And I love what Paul said. This is his words, and it's not original on my part, but Paul was absolutely right. He said the teacher is always quiet during the test. He said the teacher has taught you forever, and sometimes when you go through a test, the teacher's not going to say a lot. And that goes to say a lot of things too, that we get a lot of this stuff out there that people are clamoring and saying God's told them this and God's told them that right now. I would be very, very careful what you're hearing out there on that internet, folks, because let me tell you something, my sentiment and what I believe is being said right now, there's very little that God is talking about. He's basically letting the country take a good long drink of Joe Biden and letting us getting our vomiting self full of what I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying what the nation has allowed to happen, because we never addressed the justice issue, and we've never addressed a lot of these issues, Mark. And I'm with you. I'm not blaming nobody for this, but we are where we are tonight. And we are in this place that neither me nor you, we don't know when this is all going to get settled up right now. And it is a waiting period, and it is a period of quietness.
A period of testing right now. Me and Paul talked about this on our last program Thursday night, that, this like the heavens are like brass right now. Honestly, and it's that way for a reason. It's for a reason, because this is all about the exposing phase. It's drawing out, like I was talking about a minute ago, the character of man. Do you have what God is? The only thing that God is saying right now is to stand right now. And you better be careful with people coming out with word after word after word right now, because honestly, that's not a good sign right now, because I believe God is pretty much remaining, I'm not saying all across the board, but I think he's a little quiet right now, like you're talking about. He's seeing, he doesn't have to see, he already knows, but he's allowing us to see who's who right now. And so you just got to be careful with the prophetic, because we've talked about this. I'm not going to go into it tonight. We've talked about it 100 times on this show, where the prophetic's become the pathetic. It's become big business. And so this stuff that's going on right now on some of these YouTube channels or sort of social media, you just better be careful who you're following right now.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of a little bit, though, and there's a spiritual example of this, and we spoke on it a few weeks ago on our Sunday morning program. When Moses went into the mountain to get the law, and God gave him in that little 40-day venture into the mountains, he received the pattern of the tabernacle, but he also received the 10 Commandments. He received a lot of things during the time up on Mount Sinai with God. It was a time that him and Joshua went up there. And when Moses delayed, Mark, coming down, the people turned to idolatry. They literally built a golden calf, and this was God's covenant people that had just come out of Egypt weeks. We weren't talking months here, but weeks after Egypt, that God had delivered them from the Red Sea, literally parted the Red Sea. And because Moses delayed coming down, they began to worship a golden calf. And when all was said and done, God got so angry and Moses got angry too, and he comes down, he sees this idolatry going on, and guess who was in charge of this idolatry? It was his brother Aaron, who was the spiritual leader of Israel at the time. Moses was the political voice. Aaron was the spiritual voice, because Aaron's tribe would eventually be the priesthood, the Levites. Aaron was over the priest. And God took that idol. He had Moses do it. And the Bible doesn't say God told him to do it, but God never rebuked Moses for doing it. Moses made them bust that idol into pieces, grind it up into powder, put it in water, and he made every Israelite drink that water. And I can't help but believe tonight that the nation, and you mentioned the unions being upset, and I've seen it all over Twitter. You've seen it all over Twitter. All these people said, well, this ain't what we bargained for. This ain't what we voted for. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is.
Buyer's remorse.
Absolutely. And let me tell you something. They're drinking bitter water. And they're going to drink more bitter water, Mark, because exactly what they sought after and what they wanted, it ain't going to taste too good going down, even though it was packaged and marketed in a way that they were told, well, that old Trump guy's so evil and bad. Well, guess what? The taste of a Biden water and taste of what they're about to give you to drink, it's going to be mighty bitter to the stomach.